Okay, so I'm recording now, and for my high flex students, can you see my Illustrator screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. So the most important thing is, now you could do this in Photoshop as well, but I find creating artboards to be easier in Illustrator than in Photoshop. Okay, so I do what we all do, is do the easiest thing to get the job done. So the important thing is that the artboard must look exactly what it's going to look like. You can't really stop and start what you're going to see. You got to do it and get it done and move on. So that's why it's important to give you notes on how good something looks right now. So the bottom line is, get all of your pages that you want to see within your interactivity to be built in Illustrator, so that when you bring it in, it looks like this. So now I'll go to XD. Now, XD, when I first cracked XD, I was really confused because to me, it looked like an app and not a program. There's a difference between an app and a program. Even though they're both called applications, we tend to call big programs programs and apps as little things that you can put on your mobile device. So you just want to open this up so it's nice and big. And you can go File, Open. So you can open up the file that you have. And let me go to that. And here, let me just save it so I can remember where it is. I have it in too many places. Save as, I'll save it in the game design one, because I have it mostly, because in my design class, we do this also. Here we go. Okay, back to XD. And there is our sushi, and here we go. So I'm opening up the Illustrator file I just showed you. I'm going to walk through the very basic steps, and then I'm going to walk through the animation, which is basically, in our industry, we like to call it transitions versus animation, or video transitions. So we'll start with this one first. So basically, to help everyone understand how to work with XD, number one, you look at the interface. So there's a division here, design, prototype, and you watch how the dashboard changes. So design is when you are actually designing. So a lot of people do not know Illustrator, and they're web designers, and they only work with Photoshop and XD. They may not know Illustrator, but there's enough bells and whistles in XD for circles and squares and lines and blah, 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 to be able to build a web page, as long as you're importing Photoshop images, right? But so I kind of bypass that, but you can actually separate this. So in other words, you can come over here to the folder, and that's where we want to do the folder here, the object. And you can do ungroup. And so then that way you can make things be individual, so that when you have a button, you can make it be interactive to go to another page. Yep, up here. So the important thing about software, when you're cracking software, is you've got to look through every blessed word and menu and drop down and arrow and hamburger lines there is. The way to do that, so that you are assessing what the program can do, even though you don't need it, right? Really important tip to remember. So you highlight it, and then you come up here to Object and Ungroup, which is just like an Illustrator. And so then they become individuals, items, and sometimes you might have to ungroup it again. Didn't happen the first time, happened the second time. So never underestimate doing things twice, or double clicking. Double clicking. Yes.
Starting from a different place than me, I put everything on separate layers in one part. So
But that's okay. These are separate artboards with separate layers.
Looks like it's here to do, because everything is just layered on top of itself. So,
But as long as it's in the position, right? And you can turn things on and off.
well, that's why the position got messed up. So I think I should probably just go separate them.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to like lay it out the way it's gonna look, and then have the buttons what you want. And then, because when I show you animation, it's very similar to the architecture of an animated GIF. It's not like Flash, it's not like video editing, or 3D animation. It's very much like an animated GIF, frame by frame by frame, and you create the transitions, and I'll do that next. Okay, but the important part here is to get that ungrouped, Michael, which was your question. So you see, on this one, I can make this be only clickable and go to a page. So for exit, for rules, for assets, you know, whatever your menus are within your game, right? That's important to remember. So, so that's number one, to be able to do that. So now to go to the prototype is now you're building the actual wireframe. So I tend to like to click the top of the artboard versus in here. So now watch what I make it to be interactive. So I want this to be interactive. So under prototype, don't forget, this little arrow will pop up. If I didn't ungroup it, it would take the whole artboard. But because I ungrouped it, it now says, oh, do you want this to be interactive? Or do you want this to be interactive? Or do you want this to be interactive, right? So that's why it's important to know which one you're choosing to make it interactive. And that little blue, the blue line pops up. Yeah, yeah. So that's why your layers can be layers, and that's why everything is layers, right? You never merge unless it's too many and it needs to be just one. So all you do is this, you literally mouse down and bring it right to that page. And when I click this one, mouse down, right to the page, mouse down, bring it back to the page. Now you're testing the playability. This is the way everything is built today. What has changed is that before XD and before Figma and Sketch, a couple of other competitors, everything was built from Photoshop and Illustrator. Designers would just cut up the pieces of images and hand it over to the programmer and go, make it be interactive. Then they would make it, and then they would test it and find it not to be successful. And they just spent a boatload of money on the programmers and the designers and had to reconfigure it. This now eliminates that, where you can build a game, you can build an app, you can build a website without code, and you can test market it without code. So you launch it, you get a bunch of people to look at it and give you feedback, and you see if it's successful or not. If it is, then they hand this over to the coders and they build it. So this is what we call front end development. That whole front end development has just gone to a level where we drive everything from design to interactivity and what results are. Well, not so much middlemen, but wasted money. There's still middle people in this stuff, no question about it. But money is really the important thing. And it changes over, it gives you much more room to think out of the box, right? And then, you know, if you do something really weird and the programmer goes, oh, I don't know how to do it. And they go, well, go find out how to do it, right? And then they do that, and you do something that no one has done yet. So that happens all the time in our industry. So now to play it back, you click the first page, and up here, heads up on the arrow, this shows you your playability. Pops up. Now watch the cursor when I roll over. It's interactive. Watch it over here. It's not interactive here because I didn't make any of this interactive. This is interactive. So I click that, and now I have this page, and I use the whole page this time. And then I click this, and now I'm back. So then, okay, I just made 3 web pages or your menus. Now you want to test it on the browser or a mobile device. You come over here to share. Share is really the export today. That's the language that has changed. Would have said export. Now it says share. So you come over here to create link. And now you can copy and paste this in an email to the client or to your team. Copy the link. Let's go to a browser. Paste. There's my menu. Roll over. Click, click, click. And that is it, folks.